The rain hammered the roof like it was trying to drown out the secrets of Elmwood Lane. But nothing could wash away the heat of Stephen's breath on my neck. "Logan, we can't, God. Why does it feel like we have to?" he whispered, his voice cracking like thunder in the storm outside, his hand trembling as it slid up my thigh under the kitchen table. Upstairs, his wife, my best friend's mom, hummed softly to herself, folding laundry in their bedroom, oblivious to the line we were about to erase forever. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, the taste of forbidden whiskey still sharp on my tongue from the glass we'd shared just minutes ago. Alex was passed out in the guest room down the hall, dead to the world after our late-night binge on cheap beer and bad decisions. But in that split second, as Stephen's lips brushed mine, soft, desperate, alive, I knew truths I'd buried deeper than this Midwest suburb's manicured lawns. Love doesn't ask permission, and betrayal wears the face of the man you've idolized since you were 16. That kiss wasn't gentle. It was a collision, raw and unyielding, like the storm raging outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Harrisons' colonial-style home in suburban Chicago. Stephen pulled back first, his hazel eyes wide with a mix of terror and hunger, the kind that had been simmering between us for months, hidden behind backyard barbecues and awkward small talk. "Fuck," he muttered, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair, the strands sticking up in defiant spikes. "This is insane. Alex is right there. She's right upstairs." I nodded, but my body betrayed me, leaning in again, chasing the ghost of his mouth. At 22, fresh out of college with a useless art degree and a barista gig that barely covered my rent in the city, I'd come back to Elmwood for the weekend to crash with my best friend, Alex. We'd grown up together, him the golden boy quarterback, me the quiet sketch artist tagging along for the ride. But Stephen, he was the anchor, the steady hand that coached our little league team, fixed my bike when the chain snapped, and slipped me 20s for gas money when Dad bailed on child support again. He was the dad I wished I'd had, the one who saw potential in my doodles and hung them on the fridge like they mattered. Now, here we were, in the witching hour of a Friday night turned Saturday morning, the clock on the microwave glowing 2:17 a.m. The house smelled of rain-soaked earth seeping through the cracks and the faint lavender of his wife's detergent wafting down from the laundry basket she'd left on the stairs. "Stephen, please," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the downpour. "Just tell me to go. Tell me this was a mistake." He didn't. Instead, his fingers dug into my jeans, pulling me closer until I was half in his lap, the wooden chair creaking under our weight. His wedding ring, plain gold, etched with 20 years of vows, caught the dim light from the undercabinet LEDs, a cold reminder of the life he was risking. But in his eyes, I saw the fracture lines, the late nights at the office that weren't really at the office, the way he'd linger too long at my drop-offs, his hand brushing my shoulder like it was accidental. I felt it building, that pull, ever since I came out to Alex last summer. He knew. Of course he knew. And he'd never looked at me the same. Our mouths met again, fiercer this time, tongues tangling in a dance we'd both rehearsed in fevered dreams. His stubble scraped my chin, a rough contrast to the softness of his lips, and I tasted salt, tears, sweat, regret. My hands roamed up his chest, feeling the rapid thump of his heart through the thin cotton of his t-shirt, the one with the faded Cubs logo from better days. "Logan," he groaned against my neck, his voice muffled. "You're killing me. You have no idea, but I did. God, I did. Because for me, this wasn't just a stolen moment. It was the unraveling of everything. Alex would hate me. His mom, Karen, sweet, oblivious Karen with her PTA meetings and pumpkin spice obsessions, would shatter. And Stephen? He'd lose the facade he'd built brick by brick. The perfect husband, the pillar of the neighborhood. Yet here I was, crossing that line with him, because in the quiet ache of my own loneliness, he was the only one who'd ever made me feel seen. The stairs creaked. We sprang apart like we'd been electrocuted, chairs scraping back with a screech that echoed too loudly in the sudden silence. Footsteps patted down, soft, tentative. Karen appeared at the landing, her robe cinched tight around her waist, curlers bobbing in her blonde hair. "Boys? Everything okay down there? I thought I heard something." Stephen cleared his throat, standing too quickly, knocking over his mug. Coffee splashed across the floor, dark and accusing. "Just spilling my guts. Huh? Go back to bed. Storm's got me wired." She smiled sleepily, waving a hand. "You two and your all-nighters. Logan's like another son to us. Don't stay up too late. Alex has that game tomorrow." Her eyes flicked to me, warm but distant, the way they always did since I'd changed. She didn't say it, but I felt the unspoken pity, the prayer circles she'd probably joined at church. As she retreated, Stephen sank back into his chair, head in hands. Jesus Christ. That was too close. I reached for him, but he flinched. "We stop this now, Logan, before it destroys everything." But it was already too late. The line was crossed, and the truths it revealed, they were flooding in like the rainwater pooling in the gutters outside, dark, relentless, and impossible to dam. The next morning dawned gray and sodden, the kind of Midwest autumn day that clings to your bones. Alex bounded into the kitchen at 10 a.m., all tousled blonde hair and easy grins, slapping me on the back hard enough to jolt the last dregs of sleep from my system. "Dude, you look like shit." "What? Did Dad's snoring keep you up?" "He's like a freight train after a couple whiskeys." I forced a laugh, stirring sugar into my coffee with more force than necessary. Stephen was already out in the garage, tinkering with the lawnmower or whatever excuse he used to avoid eye contact. Karen fluttered around, plating scrambled eggs and bacon, humming an old Fleetwood Mac tune. "Eat up, boys. Big game today, state semis. Can't have my MVP running on empty." Alex shoveled food like it was his job, rambling about plays and rival teams, his enthusiasm a shield against the real world. He didn't notice how I kept glancing at the garage door, or how my fork trembled when Stephen finally emerged, grease-streaked and smelling of motor oil. Our eyes met across the island, his shadowed, mine pleading, and he looked away first, busying himself with the coffee pot. "Pass the salt, sport," he said to Alex, his voice steady as ever. But I saw the crack, the way his jaw tightened. Church bells tolled in the distance, calling the faithful to 11 o'clock mass. Karen wiped her hands on her apron. "You boys coming? Father Mike's sermon on forgiveness is supposed to be a real eye-opener." Alex snorted. "Pass. Logan's allergic to incense anyway." I managed a weak smile, but inside, guilt coiled like smoke. Forgiveness? If only it were that simple. The game was a blur of turf and cheers, Elmwood High's bleachers packed with flannel-clad parents and kids waving foam fingers. Alex dominated, his throws slicing through the defense like knives, but I barely watched. I was too busy stealing glances at Stephen on the sidelines, his arms crossed over that broad chest, yelling encouragement with a voice that still echoed in my dreams. When we won 28-14, Alex hoisting the trophy like it was the Super Bowl, I clapped along, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the kitchen in endless loops. That night, after the victory party at the local diner devolved into karaoke and spilled pitchers, Alex crashed early again, claiming a hangover from the adrenaline. I wandered the backyard, the fire pit crackling under a canopy of stars peeking through the clouds. Stephen found me there, 2 beers in hand, his shadow falling long across the patio stones. "Can't sleep?" he asked, settling beside me on the Adirondack chair, close enough that our knees brushed. "Not since last night." The words hung heavy, laced with everything unsaid. He popped the caps, handing me one, the condensation cool against my palm. "About that, Logan." "I don't." I cut him off, my voice sharper than I intended. "Don't say it was nothing. Because it wasn't. For me, it was everything." He stared into the flames, the orange glow dancing across his face, highlighting the lines etched by years of shouldering too much. "I'm 45. Married. Father to your best friend. It's a midlife crisis in a bottle. You'll move on. Hell, you should. Find someone your age. Someone who doesn't come with this baggage." I set my beer down, turning to face him fully. "Baggage? Stephen, I've carried you in my head since high school. The way you believed in me when no one else did. Remember that art show my senior year? You drove me there, sat in the back row like it was opening night at the Art Institute." A ghost of a smile tugged at his lips. "You were brilliant. Still are. Then why does it feel like you're running?" My hand found his, tentative, lacing our fingers. His skin was warm, calloused from years of fixing things, cars, homes, broken dreams. "Because I'm scared," he admitted, voice raw. "Of losing them. Of losing you." We kissed again under the stars, slower this time, the fire's heat mirroring the one building between us. His hands framed my face, thumbs tracing my jaw, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just us, no wives, no sons, no suburbs with their white picket fences and prying eyes. But moments don't last. Not in Elmwood. Monday morning hit like a hangover from hell. I packed my duffel in the guest room, the walls still papered with Alex's old posters, Nirvana, the Bulls in their glory days, while he snored through his alarm downstairs. Karen waved me off from the porch, a Tupperware of leftovers thrust into my arms. "Come back soon, sweetie. Your family. The word twisted in my gut like a knife. Stephen lingered in the driveway, pretending to check the oil in his Ford F-150, his eyes tracking me as I slung my bag into the back of my beat-up Civic. "Drive safe," he called, voice casual, but his gaze said stay. The drive back to my shoebox apartment in Wrigleyville was a fog of stoplights and what-ifs. Chicago's skyline loomed ahead, all steel and glass ambition, but I felt small, adrift. My phone buzzed. Alex, texting a blurry selfie from the diner, caption "Miss you already, bro." Then another, "Dad says hi. Thinks you're cooler than me, lol." Cooler. If only he knew. Work that week was a grind. Steaming lattes for harried suits, dodging small talk with the barista girl who kept hinting at double dates. I sketched on napkins during lulls, Stephen's profile, His laugh lines, the curve of his neck, then crumpled them into the trash before anyone could see. Nights blurred into Netflix binges and half-hearted swipes on Grindr. But nothing stuck. They were all too young, too fleeting. None had his quiet strength, the way he filled a room without trying. Friday night, my phone lit up with an unknown number. Hey, can we talk? Meet me at the old spot? 9 p.m. The old spot, that dive bar on the edge of Elmwood, the rusty anchor, where we'd sneak in after games back in high school, nursing cokes while Steven picked up the tab. Heart pounding, I texted back yes and hit the road, the L train rattling overhead as I crossed state lines. He was in the back booth when I arrived, nursing a bourbon neat, his flannel shirt rolled to the elbows. The bar was dim, Patsy Cline crooning from the jukebox, the air thick with fry grease and regret. You came, he said, sliding over a stool, his knee pressing mine under the scarred oak table. Couldn't not. I ordered a whiskey sour, the tart bite steadying my nerves. How's everything? He shrugged, tracing the rim of his glass. Same shit. Work's piling up, new project at the firm. Karen's planning Thanksgiving already. Alex aced his midterms. A pause, heavy as lead. Missed you. 2 words. And I was undone. We talked for hours, easy at first, about baseball playoffs and my latest commission for a local gallery, then deeper, peeling back layers. He confessed the cracks in his marriage. Karen's distance since the kids left for college, the way she'd thrown herself into book club and yoga to fill the void. I love her, Logan. In that worn-in way. But it's not. Fire. Not like this. This. The word hung unspoken. Electric. When the bartender called last call, he walked me to my car, the parking lot slick with fallen leaves. Come back tomorrow, he murmured, backing me against the door. Alex is at a scrimmage till late. Karen's got errands. I nodded, breathless, as his lips claimed mine. Public, reckless, but the lot was empty save for the sodium lamps buzzing overhead. His hands roamed, possessive, slipping under my jacket to grip my hips. God, you feel like home, he breathed, and I melted into him, the world fading to just the press of his body, solid and real. That weekend blurred into a secret rhythm. Stolen hours in his home office while Karen shopped. Fevered touches in the basement rec room amid boxes of Alex's old trophies. We mapped each other like undiscovered territory. His scars from a childhood accident on his ribs, the freckles dusting my collarbone. Laughter mixed with moans. Whispers of I need you echoing off the walls. It was romance wrapped in desperation. Every glance loaded, every goodbye laced with ache. But paradise has serpents. Monday brought the first crack. I was mid-shift, frothing milk for a caramel macchiato, when my phone vibrated in my apron. Alex. Dude. WTF? Mom found some texts on Dad's phone. Yours? Call me now. Ice flooded my veins. I ducked into the alley behind the shop, dialing with shaking fingers. Alex. It's not. Save it, he snarled, voice like gravel. Can't wait to feel you again? What the fuck? Logan? My dad. The line went dead. I slid down the brick wall, rain starting to patter again, mirroring the storm inside. Betrayal mine. His. Ours had a voice now, and it screamed. I drove to Elmwood that night, uninvited, the wipers slashing through sheets of water. The house glowed warm from the street, the facade unbroken. Peering through the living room blinds, I saw them. Karen on the couch, face buried in her hands. Alex pacing, fists clenched. Stephen in the armchair, head bowed, the king dethroned. I turned away, engine idling, tears blurring the dashboard lights. Truths I'd never known. Love could be a thief, stealing not just hearts but families whole. Days stretched into a cold silence. Alex blocked me on everything, socials, texts, the works. Karen's Facebook posts turned to Bible verses on grace, passive-aggressive barbs wrapped in scripture. Stephen, radio silence. Until a week later, a burner app ping, we need to end this. For them. I'm sorry. Sorry. The word that ends worlds. But endings aren't clean. I spiraled, skipping shifts, chain smoking on my fire escape, sketching his face until my pencil snapped. Friends noticed, dragged me to dive bars in Boys Town, but the men there were shadows, echoes of what I'd lost. One night, drunk on gin and regret, I messaged him, "One last time, please." He showed. At a motel off I-90, the kind with neon vacancies and stained carpets. Anonymity our only ally. We crashed together like waves on rocks. Urgent, bruising, a farewell etched in skin. "I love you," he gasped as I moved inside him, our bodies slick and synchronized. "In another life." "Don't," I choked, silencing him with a kiss. "This life." Now. Dawn found us tangled in sheets that smelled of bleach and us, his head on my chest, fingers tracing lazy circles on my stomach. "Karen knows everything," he whispered finally. Therapy. Separation papers on the table. My heart stuttered. "Alex hates me. Hates us. But he's talking. At least. That's something." We dressed in silence, the room shrinking around us. At the door, he cupped my face, eyes fierce. "Go live, Logan." For both of us. I drove away, the motel fading in the rearview, Chicago's spires rising like judgment. But the truths, they lingered, sharp as shards. Love doesn't conquer, it carves. Winter clamped down on the city like a vice, snow piling in drifts that buried the sidewalks and my resolve. I threw myself into work. Well, tried to. The coffee shop manager cut me slack after the third no-show, but the pity in her eyes burned. "Take a week, kid. Sort your head." Sorting meant therapy, a cramped office in Lincoln Park with a shrink named Dr. Patel who smelled of chai and asked 2 direct questions. "Tell me about this Stephen," she'd say, pen poised over her yellow pad. I'd stare at the ficus in the corner, leaves drooping like my secrets, and spill fragments. The coach's whistle around his neck, the way he'd ruffle my hair post-loss and say, "Next game's yours." Never the full truth, the heat of his mouth, the weight of his body pinning mine to the motel bed. "You're grieving a loss," she diagnosed, prescribing journals and mindfulness apps. Grieving. Yeah. But it was more a betrayal of the self. The boy who'd idolized a father figure only to claim him as lover. Alex broke the ice in January. A hesitant DM from a new account. Coffee? Neutral ground. No bullshit. We met at a Starbucks in the burbs, the kind with fake fireplaces and overpriced muffins. He looked older, lines bracketing his mouth, The quarterback build softened by stress eating. Mom and Dad are splitting, he said flatly, stirring his black coffee into a whirlpool. She moved to her sister's in Milwaukee. House is a ghost town. I'm sorry. The words felt inadequate. Cardboard. He fixed me with a stare. Blue eyes so like his father's it hurt. You should have told me. From the start. I mean, Dad? Of all people. I didn't plan it. My voice cracked. It just happened. And I fell hard. A beat. Then, he loves you, you know. In that stupid, poetic way. Kept mumbling it in his sleep after you left that night at the motel. Mom heard. That's how it all blew up. Loves. Present tense. My pulse thrummed. Alex leaned back, exhaling. I hate this. Hate that it hurts him. But you're my brother, man. Or were. I don't know anymore. We talked for hours raw, jagged edges exposed. He confessed his own cracks. The pressure of being the perfect son. The girlfriend who'd bailed when he admitted he wasn't ready for rings and pickets. Dad was my rock. Now he's human. Messy. Like us. By the time we hugged goodbye, awkward, backslapping, he'd unblocked me. Text anytime. But go slow with him. He's fragile. Fragile. Stephen, with his broad shoulders and steady gaze, the word reshaped him in my mind. I texted that night. Alex and I talked. He's thawing. You? His reply came swift. At the anchor. Come. The bar was quieter midweek. Locals hunched over drafts. The jukebox spinning Springsteen. Stephen nursed a pint at our booth. Looking wrecked, unshaven, shirt untucked. But when he saw me, his face lit like dawn. Kid, he breathed, standing to pull me into a bear hug, his chin resting on my head. Missed you so damn much. We ordered wings. Greasy and spicy. Laughing over old stories. The time Alex and I TP'd the principal's house. Stephen bailing us out with charm and a ladder. But under it, the current ran deep. His hand on my thigh. My foot hooked around his ankle. Karen's filing, he said eventually. Voice low. Wants half the savings. The house. Fair enough. I deserve it. No, I gripped his wrist. You deserve peace. Us. He searched my face. Hope flickering. You mean that? After everything. More than ever. That night. We went to his place, empty now. Echoes where laughter used to be. We made love in the master bedroom. Slow and reverent. Reclaiming the space inch by inch. His body over mine. Eyes locked. We whispered promises. I'll fight for this. For you. Spring thawed the ice. And with it, our lives. Alex visited. Tentative barbecues in the backyard where he'd grill and I'd chop veggies. Stephen hovering like a referee. Karen sent emails, polite, about logistics but no venom. Healing takes time, she wrote once. Humanistic. Almost. I moved in that May. My canvases lining the garage studio Stephen converted overnight. Mornings were coffee on the porch. His arm around my shoulders as we watched the sun gild the elms. Nights were tangled sheets and inside jokes. His snores a lullaby. But conflict brews in calm. June brought the letter, Alex's engagement. To Sarah, the girl from his office, sweet, ambitious, everything a future wife should be. The announcement dinner was at her parents' in Oak Park. all crystal and chandeliers. Stephen fidgeted in his button-down, me in khakis that itched like guilt. To new beginnings, Alex toasted, glass raised, but his eyes darted between us, wary. Sarah beamed, oblivious. And to family. All of us. The word landed like a grenade. After dessert, Alex pulled Stephen aside in the study, leather-bound books and brandy decanters a stark contrast to our messy truths. I lingered in the hall, eavesdropping like a ghost. "You gonna tell her?" Alex hissed. "Before the wedding? Mom's coming, Dad. With her new boyfriend or whatever." Silence. Thick. Then Stephen, "Not yet. This is our story, son. Not the toast. Our? This is a bomb. Logan gets it, he's in it. But Sarah? The whole damn town." The door flew open, Stephen storming out, face ashen. He grabbed my arm, steering me to the car without a word. The drive home was thunderous, rain lashing the windshield again. "He knows," Stephen exploded finally, slamming the wheel. "About us. Told Karen months ago. She gets it, in her way. But Alex, he's terrified it'll ruin everything." "It won't." I covered his hand with mine. "We're not a secret anymore. We're real." He pulled over on a side street, killing the engine. "Real enough to fight for?" His voice broke. Vulnerable. I climbed into his lap, awkward in the bucket seats, kissing him fierce. "Real enough to build." Summer swelled, humid and heavy, mirroring the tension coiling in our veins. Alex's wedding loomed like a guillotine. July 20th. A garden affair at the Elmwood Country Club. White tents and string quartets. Invites arrived crisp in cream envelopes. Mr. Stephen Harrison and guest. No name for me. A deliberate blank. Stephen paced the kitchen that night, phone in hand. "Call him. Force it out." I shook my head, chopping tomatoes for pasta sauce. It's his day. We show up, we smile, we let him lead, but smiles cracked under pressure. Rehearsal dinner was a minefield. Karen across the table, her new beau, a mild-mannered accountant named Tom, patting her hand while shooting Stephen sympathetic glances. Alex introduced Sarah's family with forced cheer, but when eyes turned to me, "And this is Logan's friend of the family," the air thickened. Later, in the club's powder room, Alex cornered me. "You happy? Really? With him?" I met his gaze in the mirror, unflinching. "Yeah. He makes me whole." He deflated, shoulders slumping. "Just don't fuck this up for me tomorrow. Mom's fragile. Sarah's clueless. Wouldn't dream of it." The ceremony was picture perfect. Sarah in lace, Alex in tails, vows exchanged under an arbor dripping with roses. Stephen sat rigid beside me, his hand clenched in mine under the folding chair, knuckles white. When they kissed, cheers erupted, but I felt his tremor, the ghost of what he'd lost, what we'd gained on its ruins. Reception blurred into toasts and cake, fairy lights twinkling against the dusk. We danced. Awkward dad-son sway for Stephen and Alex, then a slow turn for me and him to At Last, Etta James crooning our anthem. "You're my forever," he murmured into my ear, and I believed it, swaying in the grass, fireflies winking like conspirators. Then the bomb dropped. Karen, 3 glasses of Chardonnay deep, took the mic during open floor. To my son and his beautiful bride. And to new chapters. Her eyes locked on Stephen, then me sharp, praising. Sometimes, love finds us in unexpected places. Even when it hurts. Here's to truths, however they come. Murmurs rippled. Alex froze mid-laugh, Sarah's brow furrowing. Stephen's grip on my waist tightened, a silent brace. After, in the valet line, Alex exploded. What the hell? Mom, you just outed them? To everyone. Karen's face crumpled, Tom's arm around her. It needed saying, honey. No more hiding. For any of us. Sarah tugged Alex aside, whispers frantic. Stephen pulled me away, into the shadows of the oak grove bordering the club. This is it, he said, voice steady despite the chaos. No turning back. I kissed him then, deep and defiant, the party noise fading to a hum. Good. I want the world to know. Fall brought reckonings. Alex called a family summit neutral turf, a diner on Route 66 with vinyl booths and bottomless Joe. Karen came with Tom, Sarah tagging along wide-eyed. We sat in a semicircle, menus ignored, air thick with grease and grief. I can't pretend, Alex started, hands splayed on the formica. Dad. Logan, you're together. Fine. But it wrecked us. Mom's gone. House is half empty. And I'm scared for the kids we'll have. What do I tell them? Stephen leaned forward, elbows on knees. The truth. That love's messy. That your old man fucked up, but he's trying to fix it. With honesty. Karen nodded, surprising us. I knew, Alex. For months. Hurt like hell, but freed me. Tom's good. Steady. And Stephen, he deserves joy. Logan's it. Sarah squeezed Alex's hand. Babe. Families evolve. Ours will too. Words tumbled then. Tears. Accusations. Laughter bubbling through. Alex punched my arm. Half-hearted. You're still an asshole for not warning me. Guilty. I grinned. Relief flooding. By pie and coffee. Walls cracked open. Plans hatched. Joint Thanksgivings. Co-parenting the drama. Humanistic. Messy. Real. Winter circled back. But softer. We hosted Christmas. Stephen's first as us. Tree strung with lights and ornaments from both lives. Alex and Sarah arrived with gifts and a sonogram photo. Early surprise. Uncle Logan, Alex said, clapping my back. Hope you're ready for diaper duty. Karen brought pie. Tom in tow. No awkwardness left. We sang carols off-key. Stephen's baritone anchoring the chorus. His arm around me like it belonged. That night, snow falling fat flakes outside. We lay in bed, bodies spent and warm. Truths I never knew, he murmured, fingers in my hair. Like how betrayal can birth something beautiful. I traced his ring finger, bare now. Or how crossing lines leads home. Spring 2026 bloomed riotous. Cherry blossoms carpeting the streets like confetti from our own private parade. My art show opened at a Logan Square gallery, sold-out crowd, critics buzzing over the series. Fractured lines, portraits of Stephen in repose, vulnerability etched in oils and shadow. He stood in the corner, proud as punch, whispering, "Knew you were a star." Alex's baby arrived in June. A boy, 7 pounds even, with Stephen's hazel eyes. We drove to the hospital at dawn. Bleary-eyed but beaming, Stephen cradling his grandson like fragile glass. Look at him, Logan. Perfect. Like his grandpa. Naming ceremony was backyard simple. Ribs on the grill, kids from the neighborhood splashing in the kiddie pool. Alex handed Stephen the certificate. To Daniel Stephen Harrison III. But call him Danny. Keeps the legacy without the pressure. Tears in Stephen's eyes, rare, precious. I love you, son. Love you too, Dad. Both of you. Karen remarried that fall. A quiet courthouse due with Tom, followed by potluck at our place. She pulled me aside amid the chaos, potato salad in hand. You saved him, you know. Gave him back to himself. I hugged her, fierce. You let him go. That's the real grace. Years folded like pages. Danny's first steps in our living room, toddling to Stephen's open arms. Alex's promotion, toasts at the Anchor where it all began. My gallery going national, Stephen framing clippings on the fridge like old times. But romance didn't fade. It deepened, roots twisting through daily grit. Arguments over dishes and deadlines, make-up sex that shook the rafters, quiet nights on the porch with books and bourbon. You're my plot twist, he'd say, kissing my temple. The best kind. One August evening, storm brewing like that first one, we drove to Lake Michigan, toes in the sand, waves lapping at dusk. He dropped to one knee, ring glinting simple platinum, engraved our line. Marry me, Logan. Make this forever official. Tears stung, joy sharp as lightning. Yes, 1,000 times. The wedding was small Elmwood Courthouse. Alex best man, Karen matron of honor, Danny ring bearer in a tiny tux. Vows exchanged under rainy skies. I cross every line with you, Stephen said, voice steady. In this life and all others, reception at home, bonfire, s'mores, stars wheeling overhead. Alex raised a glass. To truths revealed, and the loves they uncover. We danced barefoot in the grass, his chest to mine, the world a blur of laughter and light. Betrayal's scar? Faint now, a reminder of paths forged in fire. In the end, it wasn't conquest or tragedy, just us, humanistic and whole. Lines crossed, truths bared, love enduring. In America, under endless skies, that's the real story.